Hey everybody, how's it going? And welcome to the first episode of Nova MMA Podcast. I'm your host Nick, joined with my buddy Jova, and we're here to talk about the fights that happened over the last week on Fight Island. The return of the UFC in 2021 was pretty great. I mean, I gotta say the last three events were insane. They were all insane. Jova, what about your thoughts?
Well, I just want to personally say welcome to the NovaMMA Podcast. This is episode one. There's many to come. As Nick already said, a lot of UFC events we got to cover. Like lots of cards, lots of fights. The return of McGregor hasn't fought in over 365 days. What are you going to do? You took an L, but you can bounce back from that. We're going to start with Fight Island 8, where Max Holloway fought Calvin Kattar, put on the performance of a lifetime. And we're going to work our way from there through the Chiesa card and to UFC 257.
Yeah, so let's get into the Holloway versus Calvin Kattar fight. Wow. Wow. What a performance by Max. I have to say, I haven't seen Max look that good since Ortega. I mean, that was a beating. He put on a beating on Calvin. And props to Calvin too.
Yeah.
He stayed in there and he didn't give up and he ate everything, bro. He
Nope.
ate everything.
An ordinary fighter, they don't just sit there and take punches like that. They'll crumble. Calvin Kattar got to be a different breed to take 445 significant strikes. Holy, one fight. That's a UFC record. 141 significant strikes in one round. That's brutal stats by Max Holloway, but I got to say, Calvin's a different breed for staying in there that long. With
I
the
think there's
distance.
something I think there's something that we have to address about that Holloway versus Cater fight because I also pulled up the stats too, and you know that there was zero knockdowns on either one of them.
Really?
And yeah, so Holloway threw or landed, sorry, 445 strikes, significant strikes, like you said, total of 447, breaking his own records.
Mm-hmm.
Um, his landing percentage was 59%. He landed 59% of his punches. So
That's crazy stats.
it's
It's
insane.
not that's not an ordinary boxer right there. He said it himself. Best boxer in the UFC. That's up for debate, but you can't just say that while slipping punches and not be in that discussion, right?
I mean, dude, the way he was moving his head, the way he was
Yeah.
ducking under those punches and just hitting Cater right in the face while looking at the commentary desk and saying stuff to them, and then not even looking at Cater. I mean,
Yeah.
dude, that was insane. That was
It's
completely.
crazy. You got to be such a high level fighter to be able to do shit like that. It's crazy.
That was nuts, man. And yeah, I mean, that was definitely fight of the night for me for that
Hmm.
card.
Obviously. That's
Were
anyone's fight of
there
the night for that card.
Was there anything else that we should talk about on that card? Anything significant?
Yeah, Max Holloway didn't go the whole camp. He didn't spar once. That's a big thing for fighters because everyone's been thinking, so you gotta spar, you gotta emulate a real fight, right? Get rounds and get this and get that. And Max Holloway didn't spar once this whole fight camp, and he put on the performance of a lifetime. That should say something.
I mean, yeah, he took all that time off from sparring, not from fighting, but from sparring. And I mean, he is a vet. Like he's a veteran in the game. He's not
Yeah,
new. He's been doing this for a long time. And can we talk about something? He's only 29.
yeah. He's been in
The
the
guy
UFC
has,
for like how long? It's been since 21 or 22.
I think 20. I think he had his first
Yeah,
fight when he was 20. He was one of those guys. He had
he got in early.
Yeah. Oh, and we also have to talk about the other fights on that card. Okay, we can't forget about Carlos Condit versus Matt Brown. I think
Yeah, that
that
was a
that I think the decision in that fight, 30-27 to Condit, I think that um, that's a little bit far fetched. I think that it was pretty even. I think that it could have
yeah.
been a split decision. I think it was very, very close. Then,
Obviously,
sorry, go what you're saying, Jova.
oh, I was just gonna say, obviously a fight like that should happen years back, but we got it now. You get what you get, right?
You get what you get.
Anyways,
But honestly, I don't think it disappointed. I don't think I have
yeah,
anything
it
bad
was a
to
good
say
fight.
about that. Let's talk about Li Jingliang knocking out Santiago Ponzinibbio, coming
Oh,
back from that. I think what a two year layoff. He
yeah,
hasn't fought
yeah.
since 2018.
Mm-hmm. That's a
My
big
God,
layoff.
man, that was insane. I mean, I had my money on Ponzinibbio. I
Hmm.
did, and he came in there, and it was just like he didn't know what to do.
Yeah, well, that guy hadn't fought for a while too, right? Like 2018 or 2016. I don't remember which one it was, but he hadn't fought for a while. You get ring rust. That's just what happens.
That was a crazy knockout. I mean, he just came over with that overhand left, and he just got caught right on the chin.
Yeah,
There's no
man.
other way to say it. He got caught
That's
right
all
on
it
the chin, and
takes. That's all it takes.
he went to
Yeah,
sleep,
man.
man. Now, the last fight that I want to talk about from the Fight Island 7 card with Holloway and Calvin Cater is, let's talk about Joaquin Buckley, the
Oh,
2020 Knockout of the Year winner, Knockout of
yeah.
the Year award winner. Yeah,
What can you say except for you win some, you lose some, right? One day you're the knockout highlight reel. One of them you are the knockout. You're getting knocked out in the highlight reel, right? You can't win them all, but that was a good knockout. I gotta
dude.
say.
I mean, I remember watching that fight, and I was saying, you know what? He's coming in too heavy, and he's moving too much, like
Mm-hmm.
moving
He was
too much
throwing too
forward.
much on the. Yeah.
He was going at Alessio Di Churchio. I don't know how to say his name, but he was really charging at him fast and
Mm,
looping those hooks and missing. And Alessio, he hit him in the body with those legs. He was hitting him with
yeah.
those body
Yeah. I
kicks.
saw that.
And
So brutal.
Buckley let his guard down, right? He dropped
Yeah.
his arm, and Alessio came up over the top of the head kick. And that
It's
was
one of
all
those
she
simple
wrote, man.
fakes. Yeah, man.
If we
It's a
if we
simple. What were you gonna say?
I say if we could pull that fight up and watch it again, and you see the kick connect with Buckley's head, that was
Oh,
one of the most brutal. I haven't seen
yeah.
a more brutal head kick than that. I think that head kick is up there with Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Ai. That head kick, dude, that head kick you heard throughout the whole arena. That head kick.
Mm. It
Okay,
was good. It was good. I don't think it was
Valent,
like the best, but it was a good head kick knockout. You got him with the fakes to the body, and then he swung to the top, and that's just what you do. You gotta anticipate that, and Buckley didn't anticipate it. He got knocked out, right?
yeah, that was insane, man. That
Yeah.
was a good one. Um, I mean, we can also talk about the Fight Night 8 event with Chiesa versus Magny. Wasn't really too much to talk about here.
Yeah.
It was a great fight between Chiesa and Magny, in my opinion. I think that both guys showed a lot of heart. I think it was a good fight. One thing I will note is I don't understand why Magny kept initiating the takedowns and wanting to grapple with Chiesa when he was clearly kind of being outmatched.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess he thought that he could have done it better and somehow maybe beat him, but it didn't
Yeah.
work out. But I think Magny will come back from that. Um, geez, I don't know who I would like to see Chiesa fight next. He called out Colby.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I don't
saw
think
that.
Colby's gonna take that bait. I don't think Colby's gonna take that bait. I think that Colby has his sights set on Masvidal.
Yeah.
I think that fight needs to happen. Um,
Yeah. Kobe's got a bunch of options for him. I doubt he's gonna take Kiesa. I'd honestly be really surprised if he did. But like, Kiesa's not a bad fighter. He's fought a lot of the UFC vets. Rafael dos Anjos is up there. A lot of people. Uh, and he put on a nice performance against Neil Magny. Neil Magny's a nice, well-rounded fighter. I think he probably should have kept it standing if he could. The takedowns weren't working for him. Kiesa's like a grizzled grappler. You probably shouldn't have went to the ground with that guy, but you live and you learn, right? What are you gonna do?
I mean, there's not much you can do, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I do think Chiesa came out strong. I think he had a good performance, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to see. It's hard to say. Sorry, where he goes from here. I mean, he's had um, he's had a couple wins, couple losses. I think he's on a win streak right now. To be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think his last loss was to Kevin Lee, if I'm not
Yeah, that's a while
mistaken.
back.
That was a while back. Um, yeah, not much to talk about from this card. I mean, it was a good card. A lot of decisions. I remember
Yeah.
lots.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna have some cards like that, right? They can't all be knockouts or submissions, right?
Yeah. Hold on one sec, bro. Pause the recording. Okay, so we're back. Sorry about that. A little bit of technical difficulties. So
Yep.
talked a little bit about Chiesa. Where does he go from here? Not really sure. I'd like to see him up there with a top five. top
Yeah, I think
six.
he deserves higher ranked opponents. Like he's been gatekeeping for a while now. He's proved his worth. So I think he gets one of the top 5, top 6, maybe top 7. I don't know.
I think if he has another couple of good performances, that he's in there for a title shot for sure. If he has
Hmm.
another couple good performances and he gets on that win streak,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think for sure. And I mean, calling out Covington, it is a good
Eh,
move for him. It is like to call him out, but like we said, I don't think he's gonna take that bait.
yeah. Probably should have called out someone more like reasonable because we both know Covington already has that Masvidal fight down. Otherwise, he'd be talking smack about it all over social media.
Yeah,
So probably
I
not the
think
best decision, right?
yeah, I think for sure that fight is in the works or pretty much finished.
Hmm.
Um, okay,
Then again,
so what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say Burns loses to Usman. I think Chiesa versus Usman would Chiesa versus Burns would be a good matchup. That's just me though. Both good grapplers, both good strikers. Wouldn't be too bad.
I agree with you. I think it would be a good matchup. Okay, so moving on now.
Hmm.
Uh, this is what everybody is tuning in to watch. Everybody wants to hear. Okay, we're 2 days out of the loss, the Conor McGregor loss. We're
Yeah,
2 days out. Um, but I shouldn't really be calling it the Conor McGregor loss. I should be calling it the Dustin Poirier win because
exactly.
my God, man, was that a performance?
It's wow. That's all I got to say. Wow. I was sitting on the couch watching that one. No words. I saw you could see at the ending of the first round when Connor started to look a bit tired. He looked like Dustin was putting the pressure on. Boom, the bell rings, shake hands. Second round comes, the legs gone from Connor, and Dustin just puts him to sleep from there. It was a good performance by Dustin. Brilliant game plan from Dustin too. He doesn't get much better than that. That was almost executed perfectly, if you ask me. Aside from like one good left hand from Connor, it's pretty good.
I agree with you. I think that Dustin had a crazy game plan coming in there. He took him
Hmm.
down. I felt Connor was a little bit surprised by that. I don't know if he was expecting that
Mm.
Dustin was going to take him down.
Oh no,
Um,
for sure.
but Dustin taking him down and then getting him back up and hitting him with those leg kicks, man. I mean, those calf kicks, they're just something else. I
Yeah,
mean,
deadly.
we haven't started seeing that until recently, right? Like
Yeah,
we've seen Sean O'Malley got hit with a calf
Sean
kick,
O'Malley.
right? He got hit, and that was his last fight with Cheeto Vera, right?
Yeah, got
Got
knocked
calf
out there.
kicked, and then
A lot of people are starting to use him. What were
Henry
you gonna say?
Cejudo. Henry
Yeah,
Cejudo got hit with a calf kick, I believe, from Demetrius Johnson,
yeah.
and it wasn't too good for him.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, Dustin came in there. He had great boxing. He executed those leg kicks great. I think Connor had the better moments in the clinch. Although I feel Dustin initiated them more. Connor kind of had the better of the exchanges in the clinch. Connor also did hit him with a few good shots.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
he hit him with a few good shots in the beginning there, but honestly, man, I saw Connor's performance, and that was not Conor McGregor that
Hmm.
we know. That was not the Conor we know. That was not the Conor that we were expecting. But I mean, dude, it was a crazy fight. I mean, we can't say anything bad about Dustin because
Hmm.
that was an insane performance. That was insane.
I mean, Chael Sonnen said it best, right? It was Conor McGregor's worst performance and Dustin Poirier's best performance. So obviously, you win some, you lose some. That goes for anything, but it's kind of different when it's Dustin Poirier. You have an amazing game plan like that, executed flawlessly. And another thing I noticed from Conor McGregor is when you're watching the fight, he had more of a boxing stance. When usually he has the karate point fighting stance, right? And that usually got him a lot of KOs. He abandoned it. A lot of people were blaming his corner for it. I don't know what that was all about, but uh, I was hoping to see that karate stance. It's always exciting to watch. You can never go wrong with that one. But he didn't use it. He got put away for the first time in his professional UFC career. So I must say something, or at least by TKO. Right? He's been subbed multiple times,
He's
but
been
never
finished
really.
before, but I mean, he's never looked like that. He's never been completely flatlined,
Yeah.
and I
Oh
don't
yeah.
care. I don't care what excuse he comes. I'm listen. I'm a Connor fan. Connor was one of the
Everyone's a
reasons
Connor fan.
everybody's a Connor fan, and if you're a liar. Okay,
Mm.
um, everybody likes to watch him fight, whether it's to see him win or to see him lose. But that when he came in there, he just looked so sloppy. His shots were not on point. He was
Oh
not.
yeah.
He was not going after him the way that we thought he would, right? And I think the reason why people have a problem with his corner is because I think this was the first camp that we started to see his boxing coach that he was with when he was 14 years old start coming in and working with Connor and trying to figure out the best game plan. And I mean, even Khabib said something about his camp, right? He
Mm-hmm.
made a comment or said a tweet
Yeah.
like, oh, this is what happens when you trade all your sparring partners for little kids, right? And you know what, man? There's a little bit of truth behind that because
Yeah.
I do think that Connor has been spending way too much time in the boxing gym. I think if you look at him being quote unquote active within the last year, he had a lot of charity boxing fights, amateur boxing fights with like up and coming boxers. Like, then you watch them and they're wearing headgear, right? And then
Yeah.
you got to think to yourself, okay, so how much time is he putting into this, and how much time is he putting into MMA?
For sure.
And he said it himself when he lost. He goes, "You can't be in this game and be inactive, right?" And it's so true. You can't be inactive in MMA because look at Poirier. Look at how busy he's been. Right? He's been competing with the
Mm-hmm.
top 10 for how long now, right?
Long. Long.
And the last time Connor fought was, the last time we saw Connor fight and saw him be dominant was 2016 against Eddie Alvarez. And
Oh yeah.
if you try to bring yourself back to when he was active and really being impressive in the octagon, calf kicks weren't really a thing back in 2016. They weren't
Yeah.
being thrown. People weren't utilizing them a lot. Like, and we weren't seeing fights being finished because of them. But now fighters are adapting and learning and seeing, holy shit, this could take my opponent out or help me take him out, and I'm going to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was saying before, I don't care what excuse Connor comes up with or says or anything about him, about that knockout. If he says, "Oh, I wasn't out," "Oh, like he hit me with a few good shots, but it was more my leg. It was more my leg." Jova, Jova, I slowed down that knockout. Okay,
Oh.
and it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. Okay, but I slowed it down, and I zoomed in, and when Poirier hit him and Connor went down and fell back and was coming back up, Poirier came down with another straight.
Oh.
And if you zoom in, you don't see it on the live broadcast too well because it's a little bit like it's happened so fast, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if you watch it, he comes down, Jova, and just connects right here. Okay,
Oh.
right. And Connor you
Brutal.
just see his head go boom, and then his eyes roll to the back of his head, and then Poirier comes down and hits him with a left hand, and then Herb Dean pulls him off.
Mm-hmm.
Connor was put to sleep. Connor was KO'd. That was not a technical knockout. That was a knockout. If Herb
Yeah.
Dean didn't step in, if Herb Dean stepped in 2 seconds later, Connor would have been just completely out cold and it would have left on a stretcher.
Mm-hmm.
That was not the Conor McGregor that we know. We've never seen that. Nobody's ever seen that. And since the public have seen Connor come to light like he has and get this rise to like superstardom, nobody's ever seen him like that. And to a lot of
Yeah.
people, it's like watching their hero get killed,
Yeah.
right? Like
Uh-huh.
the Conor McGregor they knew died that night. They saw him get knocked out, you know?
Exactly.
And that's a little bit dramatic. And I wouldn't say that. And I still think that Connor has a lot to show and Connor has a lot to come back for, but it's all determined on whether or not he wants that. I think he calls the shots. I don't think he needs to fight. And I wouldn't be upset if he walked away from the sport and said, you know what, I've done everything that I've wanted to do. And there's nothing more for me to do. Because, like, dude, he's gotten knockouts in all three weight classes, featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight. He's been a double champ, the first one to do it, coined the term champ. What's there left for him to do
What
to
hasn't he
accomplish
done,
everything?
right? Was he gonna
And
go
you
up
know
to
what?
heavyweight?
Like, you know what? If he doesn't ever do that trilogy with Poirier, I won't ever be upset. I
Yeah.
don't know if I want to see him get knocked out again. I don't.
Yeah.
I would feel bad to see Poirier come and put the hurt on him again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he has so many other things that he could be doing, so many other things that's bringing him money that he doesn't really need to fight
He
anymore.
doesn't. It's he like you said, he does not need to fight anymore. But at the end of the day, a fighter's once a fighter, always a fighter. I think he's gonna come back because, to be honest with you, you can't just get knocked out like that and just leave like that, right? That's kind of a Ronda Rousey thing to do, as I would say. But yeah, I want to go over a few things you said. Like you said, his timing was off horribly, right? But that's what what's it called? Ring rust does to you. I watched the fight. He missed a whole combo. He threw his right jab, left hand, and an uppercut. All of them missed. And if you're not fighting like Dustin's fighting, he fought like a few months before this fight. You're gonna be off, right? You're not gonna hit all your shots like Dustin was hitting all his shots, and you're not gonna know what to do. McGregor only threw a couple leg kicks while Dustin Poirier threw around 10 to 15 before he knocked him out. And to be honest, Conor McGregor's only win in the last 4 years is against a fading Cowboy Cerrone. So that's got to say something about his activity. He says he's going to be more active, but he said that last year after he beat Cowboy Cerrone. Of course, you could say all this COVID thing happened, and you'd be right to say that. Maybe he will fight more this year, but we'll still have to see about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just want to state for the people watching our podcast, since it is the first one, I don't want people to think that I'm a Connor hater or a Connor fanboy. I am an analyst of the sport. I analyze the sport. And yes, I am fans of a lot of these fighters, but I am an analyst first, a journalist first. And I'm here to bring the news to people. I'm here to give opinions and just have fun, you know?
Yeah,
But also maintain real journalism and talk about what is happening in the sport. So
of
I
course.
do want to come back to the Connor topic, but I just realized that we did kind of skip over
Yeah,
the card.
skipped
So
over a few fights.
I do want to start from the beginning of the card. Sorry, the main card. And you mentioned Ronda Rousey, and my God, did Ribas versus Rodriguez deliver? Because
Wow.
that
Wow.
was very reminiscent of Ronda Rousey versus Amanda Nunes to me. Because if you see the way Herb stops the fight, like Amanda, like is kind of just standing there, like with her fists in her hands, so reminiscent of Ronda Rousey standing there, like
Hmm.
with her hands by her side. Like it was just wow. And not to hate on Amanda because she's amazing. She's an amazing
Oh
fighter
yeah.
and she's got a lot to learn from that and she'll come back so much better. But just looking at Rodriguez's performance, I think that she's got to get some credit for being able to put somebody away like that and defend all those takedowns and the things that she did.
Yeah, of course. I mean, at the end of the day, Rodriguez was a big underdog. I had Amanda Ribas winning. And when you see her get knocked out twice in one fight, it kind of hurts, right? She's a good fighter. Both of them are good fighters. And everyone counted Rodriguez out, even though she's ahead of Amanda in the standings. It's got to say something, right? I don't think Herb Dean should have stepped in right there because Amanda was getting up. Obviously, that's a controversial stoppage. We'll have to talk about that. But like you said, at the second stoppage, when he actually called the fight, Ribas was out on her feet. She was out on her feet. It was pretty much over for her at that point. And the only question left for that is what's next for Ribas? What's next for Rodriguez?
I mean, that division, the strawweight division, is so kind of very confusing, and all these girls are just seem to be fighting each other over and over again. I think
Hmm.
that there needs to be more competition. I think that
Yeah.
the female divisions in the UFC need more of a roster. Um, but like we were saying, just amazing performance for Rodriguez. I think
Hmm.
she should go on to fight somebody in top five. I don't think she deserves a title shot after that win. Um, and Ribas, I mean, she just got to stay active, right? Come back from that. It wasn't a
Hmm.
horrible loss, but she did get hurt. And she should take some time and just kind of see where she goes from there.
Don't forget, Ribas was winning the fight. She won the first round. It was pretty dominant too in the clinch and the wrestling and the striking. She won the first round. But look, you get caught. Even you could be winning all 3 rounds, and then in the last second you get caught. We saw that in a nice fight against Yair Rodriguez and Chang Sung Jung. Got knocked out with 1 second left. Crazy stuff happens. You never know what's gonna happen.
He was winning that fight.
Mm-hmm.
He was winning that fight. Moving
So,
on to the next fight.
uh,
Sanchez versus Muradov. Muradov.
right.
It wasn't. It was pretty slow, right?
Yeah,
But then it was a third round TKO.
yeah. I mean, it was all worth it. It was like not a great fight if you ask me. They were striking exchanges on both sides, but what made it worth it was that chicken dance that I think Sanchez got caught with after a head kick, and then he got put away. It's pretty nice. That one's gonna be on the social media for a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be.
So personally, if you ask me, I think Ribas versus Rodriguez should have been ahead of that fight, as I don't really know much about Sanchez versus what's the guy's name? Muradov.
Muradov.
I never heard of them. So I think Ribas, even though like none of the fights were that popular, everyone knows who Amanda Ribas is. A lot of people know who Rodriguez is. But if you
Well,
ask me,
something to touch upon. Sorry to cut you off there,
no,
but
all good.
the reason why that Sanchez fight was above the Ribas fight was because the Armin
Oh,
Tusarkian
that was
fight,
him.
and no, because the Armin Tusarkian fight versus the guy that got cut. I forget his name, but the guy that got cut this weekend from the UFC. Osman Atman Azar.
I don't know. It's a hard name to pronounce. I saw it when over the weekend. He got cut. Well, you can't be doing stuff like that. Like think about it this way: you work all your life to get this to the UFC. That's your dream, right? And then you go and throw it away because you want to what? You let some people in, with like they cut their security bans and let some people in. It's not worth it, man. So
No.
Dana White had to put the hammer down on him, and he cut him. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, he cut him, and yeah, it was Otman Azatar. He, I can't believe I forgot his name because he had that viral KO against that tall Swedish guy, where he came over with an overhand right and he knocked him out, and the guy was twitching on the floor. That was his. He went viral for that, and he's 30 years old, and he was on the rise. Like he was gonna make a name for himself in the division, and then
Threw it all away.
dude, he just pissed it all away. I don't know what the
Yeah.
hell was in that bag. I would love to know what the hell was in that bag. Nobody seems to
Wait,
know.
so what happened? Because did I get the story wrong, or because I didn't really read into it that much? But from what I heard, they let people in and they cut the security bands off to give it to them.
Yeah, so what him and his team did is they cut their wristbands off and they gave him to an outsider, and then the outsider came in with a bag and shuffled across 4 balconies to get into Otman Azatar's room and give him the bag, and then he changed clothes and then left the island, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the story I got from Dana White, like watching his interviews with MMAJunkie.com. That's the story that he gave. So I mean, that's really all we know, right? But I mean, watching DC and Helwani and all these other guys' their podcasts, nobody seems to know
Yeah.
what was in the bag. It's almost like from that movie Seven with Brad Pitt, like what's in the fucking bag? Like,
What's in the
what's in the
bag?
fucking bag? Like, what's in
Yeah.
that bag? You know, like um, well, yeah. So we got a little bit off topic, but going back to the card,
Yeah.
that's why Sanchez and Muradov was above Ribas because that it was originally supposed to be the other fight.
Mm.
But moving on, we have to talk about the former Bellator champion coming and making his UFC debut,
Mm-hmm.
Michael Chandler versus Daniel Hooker. And my God, did Chandler come and perform? He showed these UFC guys that the lower leagues, quote unquote, lower leagues aren't so
Yeah.
low, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you ask me, it's a bit of a shame that it was kind of overshadowed by Dustin knocking out Conor McGregor. But nevertheless, the people that actually watch the sport know that Hooker was the favorite to win that fight, or like it wasn't a heavy favorite, but he was still supposed to win that fight. But when he got in there, he looked intimidated, gun shy. He didn't wanna throw a punch, and he got what's the word? He got caught for that, right? Got knocked out first round. That was a sick knockout by Chandler. Um, so it really makes you wonder how good is Chandler's skill set. He people say he's just a wrestler. He doesn't have hands. I'm pretty sure he knocked out
Oh boy,
Benson Henderson.
he's got hands. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right now. Michael Chandler, he's got fucking hands, man. He'll get in there and he'll knock you out. And we saw what he did to Hooker. We saw that, right? He came in there, and even his walkout, Jova. If you watch his walkout, he was happy, smiling. He was happy to be there. He couldn't wait to get in the cage. And Hooker's walkout was a little more serious. It was slower.
Yeah,
It's like let's get this done type of thing. But
yeah,
I do agree with you that Hooker did look gun shy, and he there was something there, but I don't know if you caught it, or I don't know if we even saw it on the live broadcast. But I heard um, who was it? I heard Chael talking about it, saying that Hooker threw his gloves in the octagon as he left. He
Oh yeah,
threw
I
him
saw that.
over.
I saw that.
He threw him over the cage, and I said to myself, like, wow. I'm like, if that's it for Hooker, I mean, I don't want to see him go out like that, because he is not that, like, that is not a showcase of his talents and his abilities, because
Exactly.
the team, I think a lot that goes into it, and I don't know if you know this, but he wasn't there with Eugene. Eugene wasn't there, his coach.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Eugene, his coach, it wasn't there.
yeah,
So
yeah,
he was training with somebody else.
yeah.
And
Well, that probably took a toll on it, right? Your head coach is there, the one that trains you the most. He's missing it, so a lot of your plan goes out the window, right? Because you need him there for that kind of intelligence.
yeah, and if you think about it, the last time that Eugene wasn't there for one of Hooker's camps was back at the Barboza fight. And
Mm,
in that fight, I don't know if you watched that one, but Dan Hooker ate so many liver kicks, I think it was, so many body kicks, switch kicks from
mhm.
Barboza, that it was just sickening. It was like a baseball bat just hitting the side of his ribs. Like how could anybody stand and take that? And
Yeah,
yo, he stood there with Barboza and took those kicks. Like, so what does that say about Michael Chandler and the power that he has in his hands to put away
hmm,
Dan Hooker?
yeah,
Put away somebody like that. Somebody went 5 rounds with Dustin Poirier, the guy
yeah. And now
that
he's fighting on his co-main.
now he's fighting on the co-main, and the guy that knocked out Conor McGregor now, right?
Hmm.
He
Yeah,
went 5 rounds with the guy that KO'd Conor McGregor, the guy
that
that
says
knocked
something
out
about your
Conor
skills.
McGregor. It does. It does. And you know what? I think that I did think about um, if Connor did lose, like what would happen, and it's not the end of the world for him. He has a million things that he could come back and do.
Yeah, obviously.
He's got a million and one
Um,
things that he can come back and do.
mhm. So I want to bring up with Chandler. No, sorry. What's his name? Dan Hooker. He's a good striker. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people were expecting, okay, Michael Chandler's gonna come in, wrestle him. It's gonna be a boring fight. That's kind of what I was expecting, right? But I said, okay, maybe Chandler's gonna throw some knees, throw something here, throw something there. But you gotta remember, the guy trains with Israel Adesanya, one of my favorite fighters and one of the best in the UFC right now. So there's always more space for Chandler. Where do you think he goes after this fight? Or sorry, where do you think Hooker goes after this fight? We'll talk about Chandler after.
I mean, if Hooker stays, if I mean, I haven't heard anything from Hooker. I haven't seen any interviews. I haven't heard anything from his coaches, from him. So we don't know what the significance of leaving the gloves in the cage was. However, historically, guys that leave their gloves in the cage, it means they retire. But Dan
Hmm.
Hooker didn't say anything. Was it a rash decision? Possibly. Could he come back? I think he's got fights left in him. I don't think
Yeah.
that this should define him. Um, where does he go from here? I'm not sure. I think it's at the end of the day, it's too complicated for us to call, because we don't know what he meant by leaving the gloves in there.
I
And he didn't
guess.
say anything after, so we don't know if it was a rash decision or if he said to himself before the fight, if I lose, it's my last one.
Mm.
I think we just have to wait and see what he says.
So for Hooker, for Chandler now, what do you think? Where do you think? Because there's a lot of options for him. He could be fighting Dustin next because they're both coming off wins. He could be fighting Justin Gaethje's open there. Charles Oliveira, Tony Ferguson, a lot of people are going to be fighting.
Uh, I think it's the lightweight division right now is so like messy and as of right now it's log jammed, in my opinion. We don't know who the best is. The champ just left. Khabib's gone.
Yeah,
I don't think Khabib's coming back.
me neither.
Unless well, that actually we can talk about that in the future because that would be if, and we'll just get off
Yeah,
track. But in terms of what's next for Chandler, I do think that I wouldn't be upset if they threw him into the title picture right away if he got a shot against Poirier for the vacant belt. But I also see the argument where he doesn't deserve a title shot after only having one win in the UFC. Um, voice crack. I think that Chandler could come back and fight somebody along the lines of Oliveira or even Tony Ferguson and just kind of solidify, his place in the rankings and in the contenders because the picture is so messed up, right?
yeah,
And
especially after
some
UFC 257, right?
oh man, and we have to talk about Connor too because as many of people hate the fact that he gets like everything handed to him and he gets opportunities and he calls the shots. Um, Money talks and
For sure.
money sells, right? So
Hmm.
like, and Connor, he's a shot caller. He calls the shots, and if he wants a trilogy fight rematch with Dustin Poirier next, and uh, if he wants it quick, I think he'll get it. I think that Dana didn't seem opposed to it. Dana seemed pretty fucking hurt that
I would be too. That's like
that
his cash cow right there. Habib versus McGregor 2 just went
I
down
think
the
I think he
drain.
was he was hurt by that and I get it. Like he's close with him. He's close with Connor, and
Hmm.
I think that Connor suffered a really devastating loss, and he's got to come
Yeah,
back from it. But like I said, Poirier's got to reap the rewards and just soak it all up. I don't think that I would be opposed to Connor coming back for a title shot against Poirier, but then you also have the fact that he just lost. Like he just
yeah,
got
he just
knocked
got.
out in the
Yeah, he didn't
second
just
round.
lose. He didn't just lose. He got knocked out. Like, okay,
He
if it
got
went the
knocked
distance and
out.
it was like a decision, okay, maybe. I don't think he goes for the title shot right away. I think maybe Dustin versus Dustin versus Chandler is an okay fight, like you said. Personally, I don't want Chandler fighting for the belt next, because I'm on that side of the argument where one win in the UFC shouldn't really get you the title shot. I think Chandler should be fighting maybe Justin Gaethje. It's a good fight, but as for Dustin, I think Ferguson's a good option, but you look at it, there's not many options. I don't want to. I'm not really interested in a Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier fight, if you ask me. But what I am interested in is McGregor versus Tony Ferguson would be a good fight. They're both coming off losses, so I think that'd be a good fight. The way Tony moves, his crazy style, his crazy heart. You can't knock that guy out unless your name's Justin Gaethje, then maybe. But I don't know. That's my opinion on it. There's not, like you said, it's a deep division, so it goes down super far. A lot of stuff you
It's
can do.
yeah, it's a really deep division, and you know, I disagree with you. I do think that Oliveira and Poirier would make a great fight. I think that if Connor retires, I think that, or sorry, if Connor doesn't come back and he doesn't get that trilogy fight, I think that that's a fight to make. I don't think that Chandler deserves that spot, or Chandler versus Oliveira, put Poirier on ice because he deserves that shot. He just knocked out Connor, who's never been knocked out before.
Mhm.
Have Chandler and Thing fight, and then the winner of that fights Poirier for the title. I mean, I listened to or I watched DC and Ariel Hawani's podcast today, and DC was saying something so wild. He was saying, "Yo, just put the belt on Poirier, and then have him fight Connor for the belt because the first fight should have been for the belt. Poirier is the number one ranked lightweight in the world, and he's the best under Khabib. And DC was making the argument that they should just give Poirier the belt for beating Connor. And it wouldn't be unheard of because they gave the belt back to Jose Aldo. They gave the belt back to what's it called? To not Connor, DC when John Jones tested positive for the steroids in his system or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
Right. So it wouldn't be unheard of for that to happen, but I think it's super unlikely to even go that way. But
I don't think that would
Dustin
happen
deserves it.
because he does deserve it. Don't get me wrong, but we know Dana White. He loves money, so he's probably gonna throw another fight for the belt because it brings in more pay-per-view money, right? Even
Yeah,
though,
I would like to see some fresh guys in there versus Dustin rather than the trilogy right away. I don't know if Connor comes back if he can beat Dustin. I don't know. I just what the Conor McGregor that we saw on Saturday night cannot and will not beat Dustin Poirier. Cannot and will not beat Dustin Poirier. If Conor comes and approaches the fight like the way he did and just stands flat-footed and tries to box with Poirier and not mix it up, where were the teep kicks? Where were those
yeah,
kicks right to the solar plexus when he was hitting Chad Mendes? Right?
the ones
Where
he
were
said that
those
were like
kicks?
knives, they weren't there.
They weren't there, man. Those kicks weren't there. Like he threw, I think, one spinning heel kick and almost connected with Dustin, and they kind of looked at each other.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, Connor, yeah, let's call it what it is. He got knocked out. He got laid out.
yeah.
I have proof for you. I do want to show you. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna fast forward to here. Okay, so we see that's what he got knocked down. We'll watch it here, okay? So he hits him right in the middle of the face, right in the
Oh,
forehead.
right in the
Okay,
forehead.
okay,
It's a
okay.
brutal shot.
Watch. Pause. Okay. Look at Poirier. Look at how he's standing.
Oh, he's just throwing
Look at that.
everything into that one.
Okay.
Everything.
Look at how completely perfect piston of a right hand just connects with Connor's chin. Watch.
But just
Boom.
oh,
Okay.
just look at that. Look at that.
Okay. Look at Connor's face. You're telling me
Yeah,
he's not out?
he's out. He's out.
You're
You
not
can't
telling me
call
he's
that a
not out.
TKO. You cannot
He's
call that a
out.
TKO.
Okay. You're telling me he's not out, my friend? My friend, you're telling me he's not out? Let me tell you something. That was horrendous to watch. As a fan of Connor, as somebody who's followed him since he got to the UFC and enjoyed him and loved watching him fight. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm shitting on him because I'm not. And I don't want to meme him at all because it takes like a lot of it takes a lot of balls to get in the octagon and to do that stuff. Like, and anything we say here is they're just jokes. I don't ever want to meme a fighter because they are.
They
You
put
gotta give them
they put their
respect
life on their line every time they get in there. So it takes a
every
lot of
time they
balls
get
to be
in there.
doing that, right?
So we can say what we want, but at the end of the day, like it was sad to see Connor go out like that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then he lands that follow-up shot, and that was all she wrote.
You got to think about that though. Like, you want to go back to that the one that sits him down for me really quickly.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do want to go back to that one. Okay. Okay. Let's see if we can do frame by frame.
This punch right here, right here. You got to think about how many months on months that Dustin Poirier grinded his ass off for this punch right here. This one big payday, this one big punch to knock Conor McGregor out cold and what's the word? Get his redemption from what was it, 7 years back? Can you imagine how long he's been waiting to do that? It's crazy, man.
I'm sure that Dustin has had dreams and dreams and dreams of waking up and looking up at the lights and just seeing Connor walk around. And I'm sure that this was very bittersweet for him. And I love the post fight of him and his wife. His wife saying, awesome. "Don't you ever doubt my husband again. Don't you ever doubt my husband." Awesome. That was amazing. I loved it. 10 out of 10. Great for Dustin. great performance by him. Sorry, I'm just kind of frozen on the screen here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we just see him again knock him down. I don't think we need to analyze this one anymore.
Yeah. Then again, it goes the thrill in the egg, and Conor McGregor's kids are there, and they have to watch the replays one day of their dad getting knocked out by Dustin Poirier.
But Connor has a chance to kind of not necessarily erase that, but make everybody forget, and that is come back, destroy somebody else, or destroy Poirier again, and take it from
For
there,
sure.
right?
A lot of the people who watch McGregor, you gotta remember, they're not like hardcore fans. They don't watch a lot. They watch McGregor fights because he's entertaining. He's a good fighter most of the time, and he's fun to watch. So you gotta think about, a lot of people don't even know that the McGregor versus Khabib fight ever happened. Do you believe that? A lot of them don't even know what happened. So if he can just do that with his Dustin fight, he could put that behind him. I think a great fight for him right now would be the Nate Diaz trilogy. That's my opinion. That would be an amazing fight, bring in big numbers, warfare.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing that fight, but I also don't see the demand for it. I don't know why everybody's calling for that fight. I didn't enjoy the second Diaz fight. I didn't. I mean, okay, that's a stretch. I did enjoy the
Yeah.
second Diaz fight, but not enough to warrant that over Connor with a new contender or something. I think that the Diaz trilogy, I think that's something that'll always be there. I don't think Diaz is going anywhere in terms of like leaving the UFC or retiring. And if Connor ends up staying with and doing MMA, then he could come back and have that trilogy whenever he wants. But in terms of going forward, I really do think he either gets the rematch with Poirier or he goes and does whatever else he's doing and
Mm-hmm.
just stays away.
Yeah, for sure. I
Uh,
mean,
yeah.
in my opinion, I don't really see much else for Conor right now. You can go for the Dustin trilogy, but I wouldn't. Like I said, the Nate Diaz. You can never go wrong with a Nate Diaz fight. Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal, amazing fight. Nate Diaz versus McGregor, 1 and 2, amazing fights. Thing is, like, now if you ask me, McGregor's got too much unfinished business. He's already have a trilogy that he can get with Diaz. One trilogy for a fighter is usually enough, but now he's got two with Dustin Poirier, right? So that's my opinion
Yeah,
on
I
it.
mean, I think that that Diaz fight is not clamored for right now. I just think him versus Poirier or somebody else, and he was even talking about uh, fighting Diaz for the title in the summer. Give me a break. You cannot put Nate Diaz in there for a title shot. You cannot give Nate Diaz a title shot. Are you
That
kidding
guy never
me?
fights.
He never fights. And what happens if he wins? What happens if he beats Connor and he becomes a lightweight champion of the world?
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't fight. Doesn't fight.
They'll have to strip him, but I feel like he would probably fight. He would probably be forced to fight if he actually like got the title, but I don't see him getting the title anytime soon.
Well, they can't force these guys to fight. So if he's not going to agree to a fight,
They'll
and
just
they're
strip
just
him.
going to strip him, right? And
Yeah.
then, but if they give Diaz the title shot, what does that say to the legitimacy of the division? What does that
Mm-hmm.
say? Okay, if
Yeah.
he goes in there and he strangles Connor, okay, do you really think that Nate Diaz could beat Khabib?
There's not a chance in hell that Nate
Okay,
Diaz could beat Habib.
okay. So I think we have our answer there, and
Mm.
I think we're gonna have to wrap it up. We've been going for a while now. I think we've been going for a solid minute. So
Solid
I
minute,
hope
yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed the first podcast. We will be back with you every Monday after UFC events. Stay tuned and follow our social media to stay up to date with when we're posting and when we're going live. And eventually we'll be doing some fight companions. We'll be live streaming during the fights, sharing a couple of beers, and just having a space where we can all hang out and watch the fights and just bring a little bit of more something to do during these like really shitty times. So
Yeah.
hope you guys are staying safe. Anything you want to say, Jova?
Yeah, like Nick said, we're gonna start pushing out some more content. We got a brand to grow now, and I wanted to say it was a fun first podcast. We got a lot more to do from here. There's a lot more to talk about. The UFC atmosphere never dies. It's always flowing, rushing, right? So it's gonna be a lot to talk about. We're gonna start uploading more stuff, and like you said, we're gonna start doing some fight companions when we can. And yeah, that's about it for our first podcast. I hope everybody enjoyed. Hope it wasn't too boring. We can only go up from here, right? So
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, we're journalists for the sport. So we're here to bring you guys content. We're here to bring you guys the news. We're here to talk about the fights. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. My name is Nick. That's Drove Up, and we're out.
take it easy.